So really, the theme of my talk today is dancing with disruption. I'm going to talk about what it means to dance metaphorically and physically. I'm also going to talk about disruption, but most importantly, I want to give you in a very short time frame 7 secrets to thriving on the kind of change Barry spoke about, but very importantly, so the best people want to partner with you. You know, that loyalty loop, all the success metrics that Barry shared with you is really going to be a function of one fundamental action, and that is how you show up and how you engage on any given day. It's all up to you along with everybody else. So I cannot think of a more appropriate group to share this message within this group, because I look around this room and I see a beautiful diversity. I also see a range of demographics. I see a lot of Gen Z, right? And I see a lot of millennials. And by the way, did you know that in 2020, the first of the millennials will turn 40? So even the millennials are becoming middle-aged, right? And then, of course, there's Gen Xers, and then there's the boomers, the folks between 47 and 62, and then there's even a few geezers. Just joking, right? I personally, just so you know, I'm a millennial. I just happen to have 5.5 decades worth of experience being a millennial. But I will tell you that the best thing about the future is it comes 24 hours at a time. So if you want to have a fantastic career, if you want to build the kind of future and dreams for yourself and for your family, what you've got to do is take care of this day, because today is your entire life in miniature. So if you play full out today, if you engage with everyone around you today, if you help make today a phenomenal success, the rest of your life will take care of itself. So just turn to a person on either side of you, just look them in the eyes and just say, it's always day one. Right. Okay, so this is good. By the way, every now and then I will get you just to have a little chat with each other, not because I'm just asking you to repeat what I'm saying or just say a shallow phrase, but how many of you have noticed that sometimes you think you understand a concept? Because have you noticed when we talk to ourselves, we're incredibly articulate, but then when you try and share it with somebody else, the words don't come out as fluently as you'd like them to come out. So one of the challenges, one of the invitations I want to put to you is when you hear something new, immediately you want to share it with the folks around you so that you know that you know. Because you only know that you know if you can help somebody else know. So let's talk a little thing or a little bit about dancing. How many of you have been dancing at least once in the past 6 months? All right, great. If you're not raising your hand, get a life. Right? But why I like dancing as a metaphor is when you dance, you've got to be agile. You've got to be nimble. You've got to be partnering with someone in some kind of performance. When you dance with someone or something, you're also in harmony with them. You've got rapport with them. And you share a common purpose. In this case, a common passion, a passion for the customer. But importantly, you become a source of other people's joy and energy. So while, Barry's had a challenging couple of days and he got in late and he asked you for your energy, that's more than just this request. We're all dependent on the energy of the folks around us. We're only as good as the company that we keep. So I'm going to ask you to make a commitment to a person on either side of you now. Only make this commitment if you're willing to live by it. Look them in the eyes and just say, from this day forward, I will be the source of your joy at work. So let's talk a little bit about disruption. So, Barry spoke about some of the change that you've been going through. You don't need me to tell you the kind of meteoric pace that change is moving at. But we define disruption as a radical change that shatters status quo. And if you think of the change that you're going through, the great thing is that you're leading this change. You are the disruptors, not the disruptees. You are creating a basket of offering, a basket of services that is building the loyalty loop and making people want to be associated with you and specifically with the products and the experiences and the services that you offer. So disruption is a crisis. And by the way, I love that word crisis. Crisis is defined as a defining moment or a turning point. And it rewards the fast and it punishes the slow. And I'm looking at a group of people who like to move fast, except we've got to move fast and we've got to deliver extraordinary quality. And then I want you to look at this final sentence, because if all you do is take the sentence away, my work here will be done. It is also a person that can cause a shift in thinking, action, and consequences. So every one of you can have an idea, can have an input that really shifts the entire offering. And someone once said to me, to the world, you might just be one person, but to one person, you might just be the world. So to that colleague or to that customer, if you bring the intention that day to cause a shift, you can cause a shift that can build momentum over time. So just turn to a person on either side of you and just say to them, you can cause a shift. So the first secret is you want to become someone who really knows. You want to go deep. You want to become known as someone that other people can turn to for insight, guidance, and advice. And all our data tells us that Canadians are terrified of being people who are duped into making important decisions based on fake information. 65% of Canadians told us they are scared of making a life-changing decision based on fake information. So you want to become known as someone who has access and who can share authentic information. Now, this is my brother from a different mother. Have you noticed a remarkable similarity? Give or take about 100 billion. But Jeff Bezos said something, and it has made a big impact on me. And he said, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. So the challenge that I put to you, and you want to be thinking about this, is as a result of people interacting with you, what is it that you want them to say about you after interacting with you? So can I just see by show of hands, how many of you have seen me before? Has anyone seen me present before? Okay, so we've probably got, 5 to 10% of the audience who've seen me before. Not that many people know how well known I am. Okay? But those 5 or 10% of people expect me to be like this because I've trained them to expect me to be like this. So in every meeting, ask yourself, after this meeting, how do I want people to see me? And then behave like that. Build that perception that you want others to have of you. Now we get into what I think is a core slide. So if you're going to become someone who really knows, then you want to be operating at the very highest level of service excellence. So the basic level, and if you're Canadian, you qualify for this level because you're nice and you're friendly. Like many of you in this room, I immigrated to Canada. I came here from my native South Africa, and I came to Canada because I did my homework, and I discovered that this country has the highest per capita concentration of nice people in the world. Right? So a professional visitor is you're nice, you're friendly, and you just take orders. And you get it done. At the next level, you become what's known as a product pusher. You focus on pushing what suits you. So when you're in a meeting with colleagues, you don't have a passion for the customer, you have a passion for self-preservation. And while you're knowledgeable, people are cognizant of the fact that you're not operating with their interests in mind. At the mid-level, you become what's known as a satisficer. That's not a spelling mistake, a satisficer. You do enough to suffice. And by the way, there's certain words that we've made up. And this is one of them. You do enough to meet expectations, nothing more. This is when you don't disappoint, you don't delight, you just become another forgettable part of an unmemorable day. Then at the next level, you become a partner. You become a valued, trusted advisor. And by the way, if all you do is operate at this fourth level, you will do exceptionally well. But at the highest level, you become the thought leader, where you are perceived as the best in the game. And I want to say something very important here. So at Barry's level, he's expected to be a thought leader at that board member level. If you've just joined, how many of you have been with Loblaw for less than a month? Who's been here for less than a month? Okay. If you can just stand up for a second, if you've been here for less than a month. I'm not going to ask you to do anything. We just want to see you. Less than a month. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Great. Take a seat. So if you've been here for less than a month, you're expected to be a thought leader as someone who's been here less than a month. But you want to represent that kind of thinking. And everything that I read about blue culture suggests that this organization wants you to bring your best to work every day, to share your point of view. Because that point of view that you share, that could be the spark that lights the fire. And as the great Bruce Springsteen sings, you can't start a fire without a spark. this gun's for hire, even though we're all just dancing in the dark. This is about being an audacious dreamer. You know, a dreamer is someone who has a vision in their mind that excites them and also lights up the people around them. And I'm going to share with you some great examples of people who are audacious dreamers. But audacious means bold. It means bold in the extreme. And what we've just seen is a vision that's bold, and you are the people who are going to turn that vision into reality. But my invitation to everyone in this room is be cognizant of your personal dream and how your personal dream lines up with the Loblaw dream or with the payments and reward dream. Because you want to be living your dream every day. Can I see by show of hands, how many of you in this room, as you sit here right now, believe that you are living the dream? Okay, so we've got maybe 20% of the audience. Now, I want you just to think about this one more time. If you think about what's going on in the world today, you think about what's going on just south of the border, for heaven's sake. You think about all the people out there who would give anything to be in this room at this stage listening to this program. Now, just think about where you are. Think about the kind of future that you are building, that you're moving into. Think about the impact that you're having on literally millions of Canadians. Think about the challenges that are going to stretch and grow you over the next 12 months. Think about the adventure you're about to have. Think about the amazing talent that's here in this room. Think about what's ahead of you. Now I want to ask again, how many of you think that you're living the dream? Right, a few more hands. Exactly. And by the way, let me just give you this insight. This is as good as it gets. Right? Tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. All of us at some stage in our lives will have a moment where we appreciate the fact that in that moment we're living beyond the dream. Back in June 2002, I was asked by the Nelson Mandela Foundation to come and do a workshop for the foundation, and my payment was I got to meet Nelson Mandela. I had 10 minutes with him, and I asked him a simple question. I said, Mr. Mandela, what was it like suffering for all those years? And he looked at me and he said, Michael, I didn't suffer. He said, I prepared to live my life every day, so when I was released, I would transform my nation into the kind of nation I dreamt of it becoming. And that's how he got through 27 years, one day at a time. And that's why he helped transform that country into the miracle it became. And I love this phrase. He says, live in a way that enhances the freedom of others. Or in our case, let's live in a way that enhances the joy of others. Let's live in a way that enhances the environment in which other people have to come and work. And by the way, compared to Nelson Mandela, how's your life looking?